Hey, welcome to my basement, everybody. We've got something a little bit different today, something kind of unique. I don't normally do this kind of thing, but BMO reached out to me and said, we'd like to partner with Electric Playground and talk to game players about their finances a little bit, give some financial advice and some wisdom. And in fact, what they've got at BMO is a specialist. His name is Shawn, and they've created a new initiative called Next Level that's targeting game players. Go figure. And so they thought that talking with me and EP would be a perfect fit for what they've got going on there. So please welcome to the show, Shawn, who works at BMO and has helped to create this initiative called Next Level. First, Shawn, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and what Next Level is all about?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Shawn. I'm the gaming relations specialist at BMO. And funny enough, my background, my school background is in journalism. I went from journalism school into banking thinking that, you know what, there's a lot of correlation here. And I've been a personal banker at the Bank of Montreal for about 5 years. So I do everything from investments, mortgages, anything you could really think of. So I got this very unique opportunity to come on and be a part of the BMO gaming team. And we're very excited. We have a stream that's going to go live next week, and it's BMO Next Level. And ultimately what our goal is to help gamers level up, not only in game, but in real life with their finances as well.
How did it happen that you got roped into Next Level? Was that something that was already happening and then they asked around about who loves video games at BMO and then they came to you, or were you part of creating the concept?
So it's a little bit of both, actually. So what happened was, so I logged into my work computer one day, and there was a big post on our landing site that said, looking for BMO gamers. And of course, there was an application process, just like any job, and you had to submit a video. So I submitted a video kind of relating, I was playing Elden Ring at the time, and I submitted a video relating to the big bad of real life, inflation, to the big bads in Elden Ring. So I leveled up, I gained some experience, and I was able to beat inflation. I might be the first person ever to beat inflation. So yeah, from there we had an audition process, which was very exciting. And of course there was tons of great candidates, and I ended up being selected. And that's where I kind of get into the content creation. So I have a very interesting job now, a very interesting title, the gaming relations specialist. And I do help, so it was a base idea, but I do help create some of the content. And you'll be seeing some of the content coming out in the next couple weeks with our streams. We've got TikToks, we've got tons of stuff, tons of interesting stuff on deck. So it's been very exciting. But yeah, they kind of just wrote me in. They wanted someone who knew enough about gaming and banking. And I was kind of, I guess they're unicorns. So
that's awesome. And it is a little bit surprising because obviously gamers have some disposable income. You know, gamers have to have some money to work with. It's not an inexpensive hobby, as you and I both know. Were you already streaming? Was that part of your repertoire? Were you already playing and you know, apart from banking, were you already out in you're obviously a gamer. Were you already sort of on Twitch doing this kind of thing?
Yeah, I used to stream a little bit back when, I don't know if you remember, but back when Mixer was a thing, I had a little channel and I streamed here and there.
I remember everything in video. I've been around a little.
Yeah. So I streamed a little bit, but you know, life kind of gets a little bit busy, right?
Yes.
And I just had a kid and I was working and that kind of thing. But outside of that, I mean, I feel like I'm always talking about video games, even if it's not on a platform, just with my friends and my family. I mean, I come from a long line of gamers. I remember when I was a kid, my grandma was playing, I believe, Star Trek on the Super Nintendo. She was like right on board with everything. And my dad plays computer games. So I kind of followed that lineage when it came to gaming. I'm the first in the family to be a banker, and definitely the first in the family to kind of have that intersection as well.
I think that's amazing, you know, and there's a correlation with me having a TV show out there about video games, right? These are, you kind of have to create your own career now, don't you? In a way, you know, the world is incredibly wide open and there's so many interesting interconnections, but you can kind of write your own story in a way these days, can't you?
Yeah, it's incredible.
Kind of
The thing, yeah, exactly. It's very much like a video game where you just
Yeah.
you choose your career and then you just go with it. And I think places like Twitch and YouTube, especially in the last 10 years, have really given us an opportunity to do that as gamers. I mean,
Sure.
I'm sure you had moments in your life before, because I know you used to you had the show. I used to watch it on City TV.
Right on.
And at some point in every gamer's life, I think there's that, how do I make money doing this, right? And it's very interesting to see people actually doing that. And it's very exciting to me as well.
Well, that's some of the stuff we're going to talk about right now. And, the reason why I wanted to do this is because, even though this is a gaming initiative and it's from BMO, I feel like there's information in this conversation that will be good and beneficial for everybody. Because everybody needs to think about how they manage their money in some way, right? It's a necessary part of living. Okay. And so I've got some questions out here. Okay. So what is the first thing that everybody should do to get on the road to achieving some financial goals?
Well, I think everyone has their own kind of unique and varying financial goal. So is there one thing that helps everybody out? I think the first step, though, is planning and research. So you have to obviously have a clear goal in mind, but everyone has different financial hurdles, right? So having a clear plan on, okay, how do I reach that goal? And doing your research to kind of see what tools and equipment you can use to reach that goal is ultimately what's most important in any kind of financial planning conversation.
All right, cool. And when did you and I guess BMO kind of recognize that there was a need for financial advice for video game fans?
Well, I mean, everybody needs financial advice or some financials in some way or form. I think video gamers have the unique skill where they're able to grind. You spend hours in a session playing a game. You spend hours fighting the same enemy over and over again to gain that experience. And ultimately, what we want to do is to encourage gamers to use that same skill in their personal life and with their personal finances because they have the ability, and I'm sure many of them do it already, but it's going to be interesting to kind of talk to them and give them the tools to do that.
Everybody does it in Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Tom Nook is a hard ass, and you have to earn. You got to earn those bells. You got to pay off everything, and you're learning the economy. I'm watching my kid. Actually, she's huge into Roblox, and she collects the Robux and she loves Animal Crossing and stuff. But you see that sort of saving to spend it on things that they want. And I guess that's an inherent thing in a lot of games, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, unfortunately, in real life, we don't have a turnip market where you can make millions, right? But you do see that. There's a lot of correlations between gaming and real life, like that you don't even see off firsthand, beside the, obvious parallels. Like people spend a lot of time in gaining experience. Well, you could do that in real life. It's nice and simple. You just have to know where to look and you have to know where to find these resources.
Right. Put your 10,000 hours in.
Yeah.
Why did it take this long to kind of see the banking industry kind of take video gaming? Because we're looking at transactions around games right now where cartridges are selling for millions of dollars, right? Like this, and this has always been a very lucrative industry reaching billions of people. Why do you think it's kind of taken the banking industry to kind of recognize that this is a really big market for them to pursue?
I think initially there's probably always been that recognition. I think now we kind of have unique ways to do things with the, where the metaverse is now. So we have this very unique opportunity to use a platform such as Twitch to kind of spread the word and kind of spread the, we call it edutainment, to entertain, not only to entertain, but to also gain knowledge about the financial sector and things of that nature. So I think that it's just kind of like we had the idea and now we have this unique way to kind of come to fruition with that idea. I think there's probably always been some kind of idea behind the scenes where it's like, okay, how do we do this? How do we step into that space? And this is us formally stepping into that space. I guess the timing is just right.
It is. And the platforms, I mean, I as someone that's come from TV, I totally recognize like there's just so many ways to reach people now. And, it's incredibly exciting, but it's also a little overwhelming, right? Like, because you could spend all day formatting and trying to figure out where to reach everybody.
Right. It's all about finding the right space for your idea, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. This is a bit of a weird question that I have, but I know that EP reaches a lot of collectors like like me,
like yourself.
Yeah. And they might have big video game collections. They're looking at the value of their collections rising like crazy right now.
Right.
So I've had this question myself. Now, is it possible to use toy and game collections for collateral, for loans and mortgages and investments? And, is the banking industry kind of looking at the sort of collector market in this space as something that could be intriguing?
That's a very interesting question. And I've thought about that myself, because like I said, before we started, I'm a huge comic book nerd and I have tons of comic books. Yep. And, like you said, the values are increasing. I think it was 2 years ago, there was that graded copy of Super Mario that sold for like 1.5 million or something. So it's a great question. As far as I know, as of right now, there is no way to use collectibles as collateral, as nice as that would be. And I'm not sure if that's something that we would see in the future. But realistically, when we think about our collectibles, I'm also a huge collector. I collect comic books and video games and action figures and things of that nature. But I think about in terms of it being collateral for, say, like investing. Well, realistically, collecting is kind of an investment in itself, right? As you say, a lot of people watch their collections kind of fluctuate in value. And it's all about, for me personally, it's all about buying low. I want to find the cheapest game I can find with the highest value. And investing is the exact same way. So to answer your question, no, not at the moment. There's no way to use those as collateral, but who knows? Who knows what could happen down the line? I don't know if I'd be willing to use my comic books as collateral, to be honest with you.
It's a double-edged sword in a way, right? I mean, do you have some advice for collectors that best sort of get a return on their investment? I know a lot of collectors, and I'm kind of in that boat. We don't really think about the sell of these things. We want to just have them around us. Right. But there is a real business opportunity there, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a huge opportunity. I mean, what's most important to collectors is I know myself, I don't have any plans on selling my collection. I think I'll take them with me or something along that line. But I mean, important things to keep in mind if you are looking to kind of retain value or to get, profit from your collection is always think about, okay, should I open this? I'm terrible for that. All of my collectibles, I always think, oh, I'm not going to open this. And then 2 days later, it's almost like I blacked out and I look down and everything's open. So do you really want to open it? And is it worthwhile to have it graded? I know that a lot of people, when they sell their collectibles, they tend to go for a lot higher price when they're graded. Personally, I've never had anything graded. I think I have one graded comic book, which is like the first appearance of Jubilee, which is great to me. I don't think it's worth a whole ton of money. But also important to keep in mind if you're looking to get value is just to pay attention to what's coming out. So when I think about comic books or video games and value, is there a movie coming out? Is there something that's kind of going to skyrocket this? Also the rarity of things. We've seen in the last couple of years, a lot of GameCube games go up in value. So we're kind of coming full circle, because when I was young, GameCube was huge. And now some of those games are a little bit harder to find. So the value tends to go up. So if you're planning on selling, it's always important to keep in mind, what is the price and when can I get the best return?
Yeah, and I guess there is that one-to-one kind of connection, because you're kind of appraising your value and you're watching, where the market is going with your things, and then you're selling. And I guess that's a lot of the same kinds of thinking if you're going to invest or buy property or whatever, right?
100%. I mean, it's always, you always hear it in movies and TV where they're like, buy low, sell high. I mean, it's the same idea with your collection, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd ever sell my collection. I'm planning to pass it down to my son, and he can sell it if he wants. Hopefully it's worth something at that point. So
can I give you a sad story about having to sell? I was a broke college student and needed some money in between years of university. And I had a bunch of really cool classic Batman comics. And I sold them in between the 1989 Batman and the Batman Returns film. So right in there, it was really dips and valleys, right? Like like mountains and valleys then. So I sold it in the valley part.
Oh,
and
no.
I got the face value. So I got all the money back that I'd bought for all of these old classic issues. I know there's a lot of people watching this, can't believe I sold any Batman comics, but I think
money. We've all been there, though. I had a huge Super Nintendo collection when I was in college, and I ended up selling everything for like $100. And I had Mega Man X. I had Super Metroid. I had a lot of those higher quality, higher price games, and I sold everything for $100.
Did you sell Turtles in Time?
I actually have it. Well, it's not mine. I say it's mine because it's close to my heart, but it's my fiance's. But we do have a copy, luckily.
Oh, that's so cool. So you're marrying someone that loves the Turtles.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I was very. That's not why I asked her to marry me, but it did help. No.
that is amazing. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about turning your passion into business. How often do you see people's passion for something like games turn into something substantive in their business life, and how do you advise people to make that leap? So this is a huge question. Let's see where you go with this.
And we're kind of, based off the conversation we had, we've kind of touched on a lot of that already. It's there's so many unique ways to kind of approach your own business. I see personally streamers as a business, and I'm sure streamers themselves see that as a business. And like I said before, I'm sure every gamer has kind of looked at themselves reflectively and said, I want to make money doing what I love. And I always talk to people about how they turn that into their business. And much like anything else, you just have to have a clear goal in mind. And how do you reach that goal? It's like, it's not exactly a 4-step process, but it can be that simple, right? Like any good business, you want to have a plan. So you want to have a plan in mind, and you want to know where exactly you can find your resources. And it's actually kind of funny that you brought this up, because our first stream, BMO Next Level, is going to be about going pro. So we're actually going to be talking to a Twitch streamer who has a large following and asking him those very questions. How did you turn your passion for gaming into a business? And we're kind of taking that unique approach to it. So you could look forward to that. That might have some more answers to your questions. But like I said, much like financial planning, you just have to have not only a plan, but you have to have a goal in mind, and you have to know where to find the resources you need, which is where I kind of come into play into this whole equation, because I've got all the resources up here, right? Where I can tell people where to find that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. And so now, with this kind of acknowledgement of the value of this industry of gaming and professional gamers and all that stuff, are you actively, is BMO actively working with more streamers and professional game players, maybe game developers, and trying to court them as customers? Is that sort of what's happening?
I think most importantly right now is we're just trying to inform people and get into the space. I don't know what the future holds, but I know that we are going to be working with different streamers when it comes to our next level stream to get that information across. We have episodes about home ownership, investing, things of that nature that's kind of going to touch on points of banking and relate it to the gaming as well. But who knows what the future holds? This is a very interesting and unique, and I'm very excited about this opportunity, because we're basically going to create that path from here, right?
Well, listen, you're talking to a guy that had to go and sit down with bank, officials early in the day, convincing people that we had a TV show and a website about video games, and that this was going to be a huge market. And we did get some support and some loans, but there was a lot of hurdles, a lot of education that had to happen with the bank managers and bank officials before they gave us the loans. And it feels like there have been some massive changes and a massive kind of awareness of how proliferate this medium is.
Yeah, it's such a huge industry. So you were kind of like an innovator. You were right on the ground floor of everything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's
right
amazing.
On the ground floor. Yeah. Okay, well, let's get a little, we talked a little bit about this with Animal Crossing and stuff, but what do you think, what are some games that represent the emulation of sound financial planning and strategy the best? SimCity?
That's a great
Animal
question.
Crossing?
I don't know if there's one game that exactly has kind of that sound financial planning built within it. I think about real-time strategy games as kind of having a good understanding about financial planning, because when you go into a real-time strategy game, you could blow everything in the first couple of minutes and then you have nothing. Where ultimately the thinking should be, okay, how do I do this over the period of the whole game, right? And having sound financial planning is kind of like that. But when I think about video games as a whole, I mean, let's think about financial planning in terms of how do I retire, right? What is my end game? So you can exercise and you can invest in yourself, and in that way you're kind of gaining experience and you're leveling up and preparing yourself for your own end game, your real life end game.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Okay, well, let's end this with you talked about Elden Ring, but what are some of your other favorite games that you've been playing?
That's
Give us
a great
some of your
question.
cred.
So I'm a huge fan of the Soulsborne series. So I'm always kind of diving in and out of that series, and I'm a huge Metal Gear Solid fan. So I like to go back and play some of the classics. I actually was very fortunate. I got a copy of Twin Snakes, which is hard to find. So I've been playing that a little bit. Coming up, though, I'm really excited. Like I said earlier, I'm a huge Sam Raimi fan. I'm a huge Bruce Campbell fan. And next week we have Evil Dead the Game coming out, and I'm super excited for that. But outside of that, I mean, I've had an ongoing, me and my buddies, we play Destiny 2 every weekend, and I've been playing that for a long time as well. Kind of all over the place. As you know, this is kind of like backlog season. So I'm kind of going back and saying, what did I miss from last year? What did I miss from earlier this year? I ended up playing a lot of games from last year, this year, like Inscription and things of that nature. So I'm kind of just playing around with my backlog right now. Do you have any suggestions? Anything that's on your radar?
Well, I kind of play all the new stuff as it comes out. So I'm still working my way through Elden Ring because I play them and then I talk about them and then I got to move on to the next thing. I've been loving the Steam Deck. I don't know if you've got the Steam Deck or have one on order.
No, I have one on order, but I haven't got my hands on one yet.
Yeah, it's unfortunate how everybody wants one, but they're taking their time getting out there. But the Steam Deck is really a remarkable device for letting you do exactly what you're talking about there. Go into your backlog and play a lot of those. Like I've been playing a lot of Titanfall 2 on that recently, and God of War, and then I just started Loot River, which is this cool. It's kind of like a Souls type of experience, a roguelite type of experience, but fused with Tetris. Which is a weird, so you're actually moving platforms along that your character is running along. And so there's a couple of, you're using your wits in a couple of interesting ways, which is really cool.
I'll have to check that out. I love when they amalgamate two ideas like that, like Tetris and roguelites. Like that's amazing.
Yeah, I think you're going to dig it. It sounds like you've got a pretty impeccable taste there for games. and I'm happy to see that there is a platform like this, a program that exists like this, that's happening for players out there right now. And this was a weird one. I don't normally do like sponsored videos, but I'm really happy that you guys reached out, and I'm grateful. Thank you to BMO. And this was a fun convo.
Yeah, happy to be on the show. Thanks for the opportunity to sit down and chat. And I'm very excited. As a gamer and a banker, this is like a dream come true. So
that's awesome. Well, good luck, and I hope you guys end up helping up a lot of people out there, a lot of gamers that need some help with their financials.
Thanks.
All right, man. Good to meet you. All the best out there.
It was nice meeting you as well. Thanks once again. I'm a big fan, so this has been very exciting for me.
Oh, that's super cool. Yeah. And thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you soon. And until then, play forever.